This is a dick sizzle. It's basically a cardinal.
Oh, what? A dick sizzle? Really? We're just throwing names out there. How are you just gonna name a bird that? How are you just gonna name a bird a dick sizzle? What does that even mean? All right. So today we have just another boring video about birds by the boy Casual Geographic. So the last time we tried to react to the Casual Geographic didn't work out because I accidentally used Google Chrome and the audio got messed up. But good news is got some good eats, got some Casual G, and we on Opera GX to watch the videos now. So let's just get into it. Like, subscribe, support the original video, come to the Twitch. What the heck? This video never fails to make me laugh.
Don't let the baby face and lack of facial hair fool you. Us 90s kids are getting old. And one thing they don't tell you about
that fish, the bird, Okay.
Don't let the baby face and lack of facial hair fool you. Us 90s kids are getting old. And one thing they don't tell you about getting old, that bird watcher phase really comes out of nowhere. You'll just be minding your own affairs, and then one day, unprovoked, you'll be like, that is an immaculate looking grackle. We laughed. The whole time he was right. The bird is the word. And is he wrong? Just look at Buddy go. I could watch that for a couple of minutes without getting bored. This is an American woodcock, and I know what you're thinking. They go by a lot of names, such as the timberdoodle, the bogsucker, and the hokum poke. As for the partridge plugwalk,
don't worry, we'll see that throat goat bird again. All right, bet.
Woodcocks eat worms, and it's believed that a cute little woodcock
they're called they're called wood what? That didn't register in my mind the first time. They're called wood what? Yeah, that's crazy. Bogsucker. Okay.
It's a category 7 disaster to any earthworms below, and the confusion makes it easier for a hokum poke to poke 'em folks. They do their dancey dance in the name of murder. And clearly it takes some time for a woodcock to get the rhythm right. As you can see for this baby bogsucker, the beat is chasing them. They're just faster, but they're trying, and one day they'll get the motion, and that's all you really can do when you're a widow woodcock. Now, if I've gotten older, there's one bird I've really grown to appreciate. This is a blue-footed booby. Now I know what you're thinking. Let's address it.
Hokum pokey.
Why blue? We'll get to that, but the blue-footed booby is a seabird of the Sula genus.
Okay, nigga, who the fuck named these birds? The blue-footed booby? Really? Crip booby. Bruh. Why? Bruh, come on, bruh. This is the only bird that crip walks. Who named these? What are we doing?
The masked booby, the Nazca booby, Peruvian booby, bird of the Sula genus, along with the masked booby.
We have the masked booby,
the Nazca booby, Peruvian booby.
We all like those.
Brown booby, and the red-footed booby.
So that's the blood. That's the arch enemy. That's the blood boobies.
Because don't let poor media representation fool you. Boobies come in a lot of colors, but to be fair, you might have only ever seen blue. Well, the blue comes from the carotenoid pigments in the fish they eat. It's really no different from the shrimp that turns flamingos pink. And if you identify as Bugs Bunny, the carrot consumption can tint you tangerine. For bluefoots, the color actually correlates to their health and by extension, how attractive they are to a partner. And there's no stolen valor in this system. Scientists did an experiment where the boobies starved for 48 hours saw an immediate decrease in the brightness of their blue. They took it a step further by taking a male booby, we'll call him a moobie, that already had a female lay an egg in his nest and dulled his feet with makeup. His mate responded to the nerf by laying a smaller egg days later, one with less yolk concentration and therefore less of a chance of living. So yeah, the brightness of a booby means everything and is a literal blue check that verifies their immunological health. Funny thing, you see the same thing with mandrills. Male mandrills look like they got rear-ended by a snow cone machine because it's a sign of social status. The higher the status, the higher the saturation. But a mandrill that gets regularly bullied and beaten will lose its cheek color, so that's why alpha mandrills look like they're constantly cotton candy constipated. The brighter the butt, the more he procreates. And brighter boobies get more groupies, which is why their courtship display involves birds flaunting their colorway.
He had to back up. He couldn't say boobies flaunting. He had to say birds. He backed up. That's like the craziest name for a bird.
It's like red bottoms but for crip. It honestly looks like they're on a mission not to crease their sneaks, and the final act of this dance involves the movie presenting his partner with nest material.
That booby crip walking. Like, who named the birds?
Even though
man?
blue-footed boobies don't even make nests. Nah, instead they thug it out on the ground while defecating 360 until the dried product forms a ring around the nest.
Oh.
Why? Well, as it turns out, boobies have a poor sense of smell but great visual memory, and in a flock of up to 10,000, they recognize their nest by the specific ring of guano, and guano stands for gonna wanna stay in that ring, because somehow that visual memory doesn't apply to their children, and only chicks inside the septic center get fed. Baby boobies that leave the center not only don't get recognized and don't get fed, they might get massacred by their own mother.
Did I just catch you?
Leaving the poop ring.
Yeah, shit circle. I think that is a shit circle. Also, so wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You can visually see the shape of your shit and recognizes the nest, but you can't remember your son or daughter that was covered in the shit because they left the shit. What the actual fuck? You can't leave the shit circle. You can't leave the shit circle. If you leave the shit circle, well, shit, you're done.
Ring. That's not the only way a baby boobie can get deflated. This seabird practices siblicide, because again, don't let the internet's unrealistic boobie standards tell you otherwise. No pair of boobies are exactly the same. One's always a little bit bigger.
Okay, now you know what you were doing with that. You know what you were doing with that. Don't even. No, you know what you were doing.
That's okay, it's totally normal, but it does mean the bustier bosom will bludgeon and bully the weaker chick, often while the parents watch the boobie get murked like mastectomy. It usually happens when parents are low on groceries, but sometimes the boobie newbie will catch a body just because. The Nazca boobie will yeet its sibling out of the nest, even though studies have proven that boobies working together could easily feed both children.
Did I just catch you on the beach?
Alive. Yeah, it ain't all beauty being a boobie. Like I said, unrealistic boobie standards aside, they come in many colors like the red-footed variety, also from their diet, and they also use their feet game to secure a mate. Evidently, it might work too well, as not even a predatory coconut crab can resist getting grabby with an unsuspecting boobie bird. But there's more than just crip-walking unmentionables in the world. There's also tits. I've definitely grown to appreciate these fleet of flying popcorn chicken. Really?
Are these things dead ass called tits, or did he just make the joke? If they're dead ass called tits, I think we gotta talk about naming schemes, guys. Like, seriously, we gotta talk about how we're naming stuff. Either we're naming stuff from the human body off of birds, or we're naming birds off stuff off the human body. Which, either way, that's just laziness. That's a tit bird.
Really nothing like waking up and opening your blinds to a nice pair resting outside your window. Tits are a large family of passerine birds seasoned all across the world. Alright, let me stop waffling. Let's address the elephant in the room. In Eurasia and Africa, they're known as tit birds, but come to America and you'll find they're called
Pickadees!
So I get why you're confused. You got an Italian plumber with a Japanese creator using their American name. Understandable. That would trip up anyone. Now with the birds of the tit variety, how they got their name is actually pretty interesting. Back in the day, tit was more like teat, and teat was an old English word for little or small, or even the suggestion of something small. Matter of fact, there was a time where it was used to reference a small horse or pony in the very derogatory. For example, no storing of pasture with baggly tit, with ragged with age, and evil at hit. Thomas Tasser. Translation, Tommy had a problem with them horses.
That has to be the hardest quote I've heard this year, man. That's actually the hardest quote. That should have been my yearbook quote. Who the fuck is being derogatory to horses? This nigga, whoever this is.
But yeah, tit means little, and if you don't believe me, pardonnez-moi français, mais petite means little. So that is un petit pair de tits. Also in old-timer language, mus referred to bird, and the game of telephone turning mus into mouse is how there's now a group of birds known as titmouse. English lesson aside, when it comes to birds, there's a lot of tits in the world, and they come in all shapes and sizes. My favorite is the long-tailed tit. Look at him. He's like my final boss of bird bias. It's one of Europe's smallest birds, cause, you know, they tend to keep it pretty putsy, except in Sweden. They got big ones over there. In fact, it's home to the great tit. At about 5.5 inches as far as tits go, they sure are. Can't leave the Americans out, so of course we gotta shout out Saltriparus minimus, or the bush tit, and representing the aforementioned titmouse.
The bush tit. The bush tit. Are we just? I get that we put stuff at the end. I'm not even like at this point. It's the laziness. The bush. What does that even mean? How is that? Is it because it lives in bushes? It doesn't even look like it lives in bushes. The great tit is my favorite. Yeah, it looks good. It looks cool. Wait, hold on, where is it again?
5.5 inches as far as
Yeah, it looks cool.
tits go. They sure are. Can't leave the Americans out, so of course we gotta shout out sultry parus minimus.
How do we go from sultry parus minimus
The bush tit, and
to bush tit?
representing the aforementioned deep mouse is the tufted titmouse of Texas. Obviously, they're found in more than just Texas, but ain't no stopping
See, that's a tough
alliteration
nickname.
station. But back to my preference, the long-tailed tit. And not just because of shape, although I do like them round. I don't really have a preference. They're all beautiful. He's just built like a perfect snowball. And something about watching them hang in the air is just satisfying. But also because they have a daycare system. Nature just couldn't let a long-tailed tit rock. So they have a lot of predators like owls, weasels, and even unnatural ones like domestic cats they can thank us for. The war on tits means their airborne cotton ball has a high nest failure rate. But the thing is, if their family becomes compromised in the middle of their nesting season in May, because tits usually pop out in the spring, instead of trying again, usually what they'll do is help out a nearby nest. Now the helpers are usually related, but in a study, half of all the long-tailed nests had at least one and usually more recruits helping the cause. As you can guess, the chicks raised with helpers have a better chance of surviving a trip around the sun, and the experience means the helpers' future children have better luck at life. So basically, these birds are the embodiment of it takes a village, and it's always a pleasant sight to see tits sticking together for the greater good. And I gotta say, out of all these birds, I really like the of this one. Also pronounced giz, is a term used by bird watchers to describe the overall appearance or impression of said bird, typically garnered from attributes such as size, shape, flying pattern, posture, coloration. It's all about aura, the vibes. For example, some favor the J work of a booby. Me, I prefer the vibe of a long-tailed tit. Everyone has a preference. Woosah. I hope you didn't think we were done, because we also have the tit babbler of the family, Tamale.
Bro, this man's hilarious, bro. Oh my gosh. This man's hilarious.
Now you know where the TIT part spawned from, but the babble of it all referenced the constant babbling sounds they make. And obviously the naming guy wasn't into it. There's a lot of types of old world tit babblers, but probably the most famous one is the fluffy-backed tit babbler of Southeast Asia. And honestly, they're pretty, and I wasn't a believer at first, but I do see the fluffy part come into play, so having a name with babble, it's kind of disrespectful. Surely someone cares for what a talking tit bird has to say, but hey, they could have been done way, way worse. This is a dick sizzle. It's basically a cardinal.
What? A dick sizzle? Really? We're just throwing names out there. How are you just gonna name a bird that? How are you just gonna name a bird a dick sizzle? What does that even mean?
You can find in the American Midwest and Central America. As in, they have all their hanky-spanky fun times in the US Midwest during their breeding season from about early June to mid-August. Then before fall, the symphony of sizzle dicks migrate en masse to Central and South America. They nest on the ground, and they're highly territorial and will run fades in the name of property development. So if you walk outside to a hyper-pigmented popcorn kernel running the ones, you sir have a case of aggressive dick sizzles. But considering they're only 5 inches long, you'd much rather hear those words on your front lawn than from a doctor in a clinic. And the same way the morning dove brings you back to waking up in your childhood
You'd much rather hear those words on your front lawn than from a doctor in a clinic. Okay. Okay, bro.
bedroom. Dick Sizzle might have been your summer anthem and you didn't even realize it. In fact, that's how they got their name. Apparently after what the naming guy thought their song sounded like in words. And somehow that was enough to get named like an STD. If that's onomatopoeia,
That sounds nothing like a dick sizzle. We really gotta work on naming.
I wouldn't want to be a. Speaking of which, this is the go-away bird of Africa. Same timing as Richard Sizzle. Their lore is that their call sounds like Kowe, which apparently was in the neighborhood of go-away. You know, at first I wasn't feeling it, but if I try really hard, I can make myself hear it. Or I could just be getting Barbied again.
Oh, Barbie, those were vintage!
Did he not just curse? The fun thing about them is, it's believed that is an alarm call to warn other go-aways and actually even other animals of predators. Conceptually, if that's true, that's really cool. And that's
RIP to their entire species of dick sizzles. R.I.P. man. R.I.P.
Here for the onomatopoeia portion. Let's talk about the rough-faced shag. It sounds like a euphemism for the cultural.
I'm starting to see a pattern. I'm starting to see a like. Hold up. Like I'm starting to see a pattern here. All right.
Of canine coitus. Really, it's a rare seabird endemic to New Zealand. Shout out New Zealand. A cormorant, if you will. You know what
Pattern. They're all birds. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
else is a cormorant? I believe you've met. This aquatic attack on Titan is also called a king shag, and the rough-faced thing comes from the patch of dry yellow skin called the caruncle. Lots of birds have this, like the king vulture. By the way, do not Google caruncles on a pigeon.
Why don't I want to Google caruncles on a pigeon? Why is he making the face like he's just seen a million terrible things? Oh no.
I'm serious, that ruined my whole vibe. For Big Shaggy, the caruncles really swell up and brighten during breeding season.
Also, imperial shags shown. I can't
also,
tell
that ring around their eye turns an even bolder blue. It's really no different from the blue of a booby bird. Consider it amorous eczema. And it's not the weirdest thing a bird will do for attention. This is a...
I also don't recommend. I'm very worried. Now I'm worried, and I want to look it up, but I'm not going to. I'm also worried.
It's grouse. And this is the part of the video that might actually get me got. Two things. One, that's a guy. And
why the fuck does the bird have titties? And why? Is this gonna be one of those situations with like that one monkey with like the ball under his throat?
Two, those implants are inflatable guller sacs that they pop out for female validation. What they'll do is gangs of grouses will gather in groups called leks. That's L-E-K, and they'll display their headlights in a courtship dance that you can actually hear from 3 miles away. It's very competitive.
You can
they'll spend
hear
hours a day doing it. And in the center of the lek is the biggest bosom bird, the dominant male that gets to mate with pretty much 80% of the girl grouses there. Now let's be honest, you and I probably had the same thought when we saw this.
Yeah.
How do they avoid predators when they're built like an uppercase cry for attention?
I was not thinking that. I was not thinking that at all. That's fucking insane. That's fucking insane. No, I was not thinking that. I was thinking, who the fuck invented these? And why were they horny? No. They jiggle and they man boobs. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I wouldn't be surprised if the
that's
females
the thing,
didn't
though.
have...
Grouses have the peacock
The females don't have any at all, right?
problem, where their biggest flex often gets them flatlined by predators. Those chesticles mean guy grouses get griefed by eagles so bad that the ratio of girls to guys can be 2 to 1. But there's another bird that gets their legs in. This is an Andean cock of the rock, and shout out to Peru, that is their national...
Oh, what the fuck are these names? A cock of the rock? I can't lie though, that goes hard.
That is
Wait,
who you can blame.
Hold on, that name goes hard. I can't lie.
For this, they have one of the biggest globes in nature because that's how they look fresh out the shell. The cock of the rock will also gather in leks and also...
It look like... It's like when you're vacuuming up something and there's like... It just gets all clumped up. But there's something with like more dust on it or hair on it than usual.
Also put on a show for female attention. I wish I had more videos I could show you, but apparently cock of the rocks are difficult to witness because apparently they're shy and easy to disturb because even a rock cock can get performance anxiety. Again, it happens, it's totally normal. I mean, not to this guy, but with a name like Superb Bird of Paradise, thinking otherwise would be a failure of your expectations. But whether...
What am I looking at? What is that?
Whether you see it or not, the bird of Peru really knows how to rock out with his cock. Okay, that's gonna do it for this video. I feel like with all the chest jokes I made, it's only right that I donate to the breast cancer organization. So link down below if you'd like to do so as well. Also, did you know 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer?
No, I did not.
Playing with y'all health. Go get screened. A
Good
dead
education.
boobie's a terrible thing. Also, I feel like I keep forgetting to plug the fact that I have a Patreon. So if you'd like to support this nonsense beyond just subscribing, the link will also be in the description. But as always, honestly, I'm not really hurting right now. Like, don't give some...
What's this clip you dropped? Hold up. All right. So what's this clip? Now, come on. Okay, Sarah. Okay. What? Playing Saucy Santana is fucking crazy. Playing Saucy Santana is fucking crazy.
I'm sorry, bro.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Playing Saucy Santana is crazy. Okay. That's gonna be the video. That's gonna be the video for this, bro. Alright. Make sure y'all go like and support the original video by the boy Casual Geographic, and it's a charity, so if you can or are up to it, donate, of course, and like and subscribe to this channel if you like the reactions. Come to the Twitch if you want to see reactions live. We also be gaming sometimes. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time. Peace.
Kick the body once just to be sure. Oh yeah, that's a red dead deputy. Full clip with the red dead weaponry. Go chop it still over there next to me. Bullets beats out of they hit him with force. Boys ride with no bitch in the back of it. Yeehaw from the burn, I'm smacking it. Put the weed cigar when I'm packing it. Red shot. Hit him all you see is a red dot.